All right, we're on the fourth page of the week 2 math packet. So percent proportions and equations. All right, so solving problems with percentages. So we're going to be writing proportions and equations. So percentages are used frequently in real life. Percentages are used frequently in real life and can be solved two ways. So the first thing you can do is set up a percent proportion. So you're going to set up a percent proportion. Let me zoom in a little bit. Okay. So you can set up a percent proportion using this formula below and then solving for the missing value. Okay. And I'm gonna do it the way I taught my students, which is it's the same thing. It can be written the other ways. It's part to whole equals percent out of 100. That's just the way I taught my students. Exact same equation, it's just written backwards, as you can see. So that's one way to do it. Or you can plug in the values into the percent equation. And then solve for the missing value. And here is the percent equation. So part equals percent as a decimal times whole. I think there's a little bit of typo right there. It should be part equals percent times whole. So exactly what I told my students too. So part equals percent times whole. Okay, so when you're doing these, you're going to be looking for three possible missing pieces. It is possible that you're missing the part, so how much the part is. It is possible that you're missing the whole. It is possible that you're missing the percentage. But what you're never missing is the 100. So if you're using the proportion, the 100 will always be there. That's never going to be the missing piece. You're going to be reading the problems and trying to identify what's missing. The equation works the exact same way. You're going to be missing either the part, the percent, or the whole. And it's up to you to identify which one is missing. So there is no, like, you have to use this one or this one. It's whichever one feels better for you. So I'm going to try one using the proportion, one using the equation, and then from there, I'm going to stick to the equation because for me, it feels like a little bit faster and a little bit straightforward. But this works perfectly fine. Just when you do this, you're going to have to cross multiply to find for the missing value. So this first one right here. The 7th grade class, we're gonna solve for whatever is missing, right? So this one says the 7th grade class held an end of the year dance. Of the 300 7th graders, 246 decided to attend. What percent of the 7th grade class attended the end of the year dance? So we have a room for an equation or a proportion. So this first one, I'm going to do it as a proportion. So we have the equation should be part out of the whole equals the percent out of 100. So that's what it should look like. Scoot over a little bit. Okay, so let's see. What is the part gonna be? Or for starters, what am I looking for? What's missing? Well, I know because it says what percent of the 7th grade class, then I know that the percent is what's missing. So I have a proportion, which is a fraction equals a fraction. I know on the bottom right automatically goes to 100 because the 100 is never missing. If you're using the proportion, it will always be there. Okay, I know that the percent is what I'm I know that the percent is what I'm looking for. So if it's an unknown value, well, what can I write for an unknown value? Well, just write some variable. I'm going to write P for percent. Okay, now part to whole. So you have to read these carefully. It's not always that the bigger number is the whole and the small number is the part. That's not the case. It depends on the wording. The wording will tell you what's the part and what's the whole. So it says, of the 300 7th graders. So it's out of how much? 300. So that must be the whole. And 246 of them decide to attend. So what's the part? 246. And then there's your proportion. So if you're trying to solve that, I'm going to try to squeeze that work in over here to the bottom left. I have 246 divided by 300 equals some unknown value out of 100. To solve this, we must cross multiply. So I have 246 times 100. So 246 times 100, just add 2 zeros. And you got 24,600 equals 300 times x, 300x. All right. One last step. How do I isolate x? How do I solve for x to figure out what it is? So divide both sides by 300. And you're going to get 200 or 24,600 divided by 300. All right. On the right side, 300 on top, 300 on bottom. That's a 1. Times x is just x. On the left side, we get that simplifies to 82. Now, since what we were originally looking for was a percentage, this is going to be 82%. Okay, a quick tip. If you're using the proportion and you're looking for the percentage, there is no conversion needed. It already gives it to you as a percentage because it's out of 100, and percentages are out of 100. Now, for the equations, which I'm going to do one next, if you're looking for the percentage, then it will be needed to convert. So I'll do an example of one. So for example, I think this one right here. This is a percentage problem. So it says a farmer decides to sell 32 pounds of his small 96-pound potato crop. What percent of the crop did he sell? Well, I'm going to use the equation, okay? So part equals percent times whole. And again, when you're doing these, one thing will be missing. It'll be either the part, the whole, or the percent. Only one of those will be missing, and that's what you need to solve for. So let's see what we got. Automatically, I know what's missing, right? How do I know that? Because of what it's asking. What percent of the crop did he sell? What percentage? This is what's missing. Well, what can I put in place of an unknown value? Well, I can just make this a variable. Okay. And then times whole. Well, how much is this out of? What is this thing out of? What's the whole? So it says out of his 96-pound crop. So it's out of 96. Whatever is remaining is what must be the part. So this is going to be 32. And so my equation is 32 equals x times 96. And what's x times 96? 96x. Oh, you know what? I'll just keep it the way it should be written. x times 96. So that's my equation right there. Okay, so I have the equation 32 equals x 96, but the way you should be reading it is x times 96 is 96x. All right, how do you get x by itself? Well, you need to isolate it. So I'm going to divide both sides by 96. And so 96 over 96, that's 1 times x. And what's 1 times x? X. On the left side, 32 divided by 96, we get 0.333333. So I'm going to do 3 digits, thousands place. So think about what we were looking for in the beginning, okay? We were looking for the percentage, right? And we get this. Now that needs to be expressed as a percentage. So how do you write 3.333 as a percent? Move the decimal to the right twice, you get 33.3%. And so that's what x equals. Okay. Now that's what I was talking about when you need to convert. If you're using the equation and you get to a percentage, you need to convert it. If you're using the proportion, you don't have to convert it because it's already built in. It's already out of 100, so you're good to go. All right. Number 3, on an average Saturday, 15% of tickets sold are children's tickets. If there were 460 tickets sold on Saturday, how many were sold to children? So I'm going to use the equation because I think the equation's a quicker way to go on this one. So we have part equals percent times whole. Okay. So let's see. What do they give us for sure? Well, they give us the 15%, so that's going to go right here. So for sure they gave us 15%. Okay. Now it says if there were 460 tickets sold on Saturday, how many were to children? So does 460, does that represent the part or the whole? Well, 460 tickets, that's how many were sold on Saturday on total. So that's going to be the whole. Okay. And so the part is what's missing. Well, what do you write in for an unknown value? It's going to be some variable. Put whatever you want. I'm going to put t. Sure, why not? Okay, so we have all the pieces we need to write our equation. So it's going to be t equals percent times whole. Now, remember 15% is no good to us. We need to write that as a number. So how do you write 15% as a number? 0.15 multiplied by the whole, which is 460. Okay, so that's the equation. So now we just have to solve it. T equals 0.15 times 460. If you multiply that out, 0.15 times 460, then you get 69. And so T equals 69. 69 what though? What does T represent? Remember, what are we looking for? How many tickets were sold to children? So 69 children's tickets. And there it is. That's number 3. Again, you can use either one you want. Maybe I'll try number 5 as a proportion. But you can use either format that you want. Number 4, the campus demographics include 480 female students. This represents 64 of the student body. How many students are enrolled? So part equals percent times whole. Okay. Let's see. What is the percentage? Well, that's pretty quick to find out, right? Whatever has the percent symbol. So it's going to be, let's see, 64%. Well, that's going to be right here, 64%. And then we have, let's see, it says 480 female students. Now, is that going to be a part or the whole? Well, it says how many students are enrolled, so I know that that's going to be the part. So that's going to be the part. So it's going to be 480. And then the whole is what's missing. What do you write for a missing value? I'm going to put a variable of W. Do it better than that. W. Okay, so now that I have that, my equation will be 480 equals percent times whole. And so that's not going to work because percentage as a percentage needs to be written as a number. So I got, the percent should be 0.64. And then W times W or just W. All right, so now that we've got that, so we need to solve it. So we got 480 equals 0.64 W. How do I get W by itself? Well, you're going to divide both sides by 0.64. You get a 1. And what's 1 times W? W. On the left side, 480 divided by 0.64. That is 750. So it should be 750 equals W. But what does W represent again? Remember, what were we talking about? What are we looking for? How many students were enrolled? So how many students total, including the any other gender? And there it is. All right, the last one. So for those of you that like the proportion, I guess I'll try out the proportion. So it should be part to whole, part out of the whole equals the percent out of 100. So let's see. It said Trisha she received the 56% on her test. If she got 14 problems correct, how many questions were on the test? Oh my gosh, it is crazy out there. Sorry about all that noise, everybody. Okay, so let's see what we got. So I'm going to start substituting some things. So very easily, what's the percentage going to be? 56. What goes below the 56? The 100. What is the part and what is the whole? Well, she got 14 problems correct out of how many? Well, 14 must be the part. So it's going to be 14. She got 14 questions correct out of how many? Well, that's the question. So there's our proportion. We have to solve that. How do you solve this? I tell my students a little bit of Wakanda. Cross your arms together, and you're going to make an X, just like Wakanda. So that and that. 14 times 100 is 1400. X times 56 is 56x. Divide both sides by 56 to isolate x. 50 on top, 50 on bottom, that's 1. And that's gone now. And we're left with x on the right side because 1 times x is x. On the left side, 1400 divided by 56. And you get 25. So 25 was what the question asked. How many questions was it out of? Well, it was out of 25 questions. So out the test. I can do better, Angel. You need to slow it down sometimes when I write. The test was out of 25 questions. And there's your answer. Okay, I'm going to stop this video. It's getting a little bit long. And I'm going to do another video for the back side of this page. And that'll be the, what is it now? The 5th page, I believe. But this was the percent proportions and equations.